Pat Buchanan knows a little bit about what it's like to be an insurgent presidential candidate. Of course, he was a presidential candidate, nominee of the Reform Party in 2000. He has been a senior advisor to 3 American presidents, actually presidential candidate twice for the Republican Party, nominee of the Reform Party in 2000. And he wrote a piece this week that we cited a lot called The Donald and the La Raza Judge. Let's welcome on our guest line, Pat Buchanan. Hello, Mr. Buchanan. How have you been,
Mike,
sir?
how are you?
I'm well. Let's talk about the La Raza Judge, as you call him. The media is having the vapors. A lot of fellow Republicans are running for the hills. It's as if Trump's criticism and questioning of this judge has just been absolutely a line that he shouldn't have crossed. That's it. They're done. He must be a racist, and they're not going to support him anymore. Do you find any merit in their criticism of Donald Trump?
I really don't. I mean, I can understand why they would say that Donald Trump shouldn't have suggested that it's because he's a Mexican-American that he's biased against him. But I think that's Trump's point. Look, what did Trump say? He said, look, this judge is really sticking it to me, and he's got some arguments to support that, the dumping of all those documents to the Washington Post, et cetera.
You mean the same paper that's got 20 full-time reporters assigned to him to try to find dirt?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
I tell you, I would hate to have somebody, I go before a judge and someone said this guy's a former editor of the Washington Post.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Get me another district or we're going to have to plead this out.
I mean,
look, it is. Let me just say this: it is. Donald has a perfect reason to believe he might be having this thing stuck to him right in the middle of a campaign. This guy dropping all these documents, etc. Secondly, and it might well be because the judge is a Mexican American that he really does not like Donald Trump. There's an awful lot of Mexican Americans, and indeed former presidents of Mexico, who have said they can't stand the guy. And so, but the basic point is, if Trump believes this, and it may be true, what is he supposed to do? He said what he believes to be true, and now everybody wants him to apologize for a statement he believes to be true.
You know, it fascinates me. You mentioned that a lot of Hispanics, a lot of Mexican Americans don't like Donald Trump. The media breathlessly reports his negatives within the Latino community. Republicans say, oh, we got to win Hispanics if we're going to get the presidency. So it's a given that there is contentiousness within the Hispanic community.
When you see, Mike, when you see fellas outside his rally throwing eggs at that poor gal who was backed up against
pelting her with eggs while waving Mexican flags, Pat.
Waving Mexican flags and burning American flags.
Yes.
I mean, I wonder just how. I know we know what they think of the Donald there, and we know what their basic philosophy is. But does it not suggest they might be more loyal to Mexico than they are to the United States of America if they're burning our flag?
I'm just perplexed by the sudden rush by a number of Republicans and conservatives to act as if U.S. District Judge Gonzalo Curiel is the Mother Teresa of the judiciary. I mean, they're defending this guy like he is untouchable, and yet there's always been criticism from the right over judicial activism. There's always been suspicion and cynicism on our side of what judges are capable of doing.
Right.
Why is this a line that Trump crossed in their minds?
Exactly. And look, the judge, whatever you say about it, the judge is a member of the San Diego La Raza group of lawyers out there. When they say that's not the real La Raza, that's not the other. Yeah, the head of the other La Raza is sitting right in the White House, for heaven's sake.
No, I mean,
an organization that identifies itself as the race, it seems to me it is not illegitimate to suggest that they might have a bias toward folks like themselves.
Right. Now, there's history that begs to be addressed here, and you did it brilliantly in your column. Lyndon Baines Johnson appointed Thurgood Marshall. Now, he was, as you write, a former head of the NAACP. Do you think his status as a black American didn't apply to the decision to make him, to appoint him to the Supreme Court?
Well, it was the very reason that we won the first black Supreme Court justice, and we got a member of the NAACP who has fought for civil rights and all of these causes, and we want that voice, those beliefs, those ideas represented on the bench.
Right. There's,
for heaven's sake.
I know it's nonsense. There's such a double standard, and of course we've talked many times about Justice Sonia Sotomayor having said repeatedly about what it is to be a Latina and how that heritage gives her a better a leg up, frankly, over a white man who never had that kind of experience.
Well, that's right, and I mentioned the other thing. Then they asked him, "Do you think you could get a fair shake from a Muslim judge?" And Trump says, probably not, or something, an equal fair shake.
Right.
But look, as I mentioned, if the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, whatever it is, if that group learned that a Muslim were being appointed to the Supreme Court, a devout Muslim who believes in the basic tenets of his faith, they would demand that his views be checked out to see if he was going to be discriminatory against gays, because in many Muslim countries they're at risk of their lives.
Of course.
For heaven's sakes, everybody has particular beliefs and ideas and thoughts and orientations based on where they came from, who their parents were, what their faith is, all the rest of it. That's human nature. We all try in the justice system to rise above these things and deal basically with the law. That's Scalia's point.
Pat Buchanan is with us. He's the author of Suicide of a Superpower, Will America Survive to 2025? As you've heard in the last 24 hours, there is a very real strategy that a number of Republicans seem to be mounting. I guess they're going to have a super-duper secret powwow in Utah with Mitt Romney behind closed doors. And they're going to try to figure out if they can change the rules, break the rules, make it so that in Cleveland next month, they take the nomination away from Donald Trump and give it to someone else. And some of them are saying anyone else. Now, there have been over 13 million people, a record number of people who voted for Donald Trump. Pat, do you see that even possibly happening in Cleveland next month? And if so, what will the consequence of that be?
Well, first, when you get that kind of challenge, if I were Trump, I would say, bring it on. But let me tell you a story. Richard Nixon was at the Cleveland Governor's Conference, had tried to take the nomination away from Barry Goldwater right after he won the California primary. Nixon got caught up in it. He pushed George Romney to run against Goldwater, figuring that Romney derailed the Goldwater bandwagon, the party would turn to a centrist, namely Nixon, okay?
Right.
The whole thing blew up. And Nixon came back and he told me, Buchanan, if ever you hear of a group forming up to stop X, be sure to put your money on X. And that was exactly what happened. They're not going to take this nomination away from Donald Trump. I guess they got the right to try. But they have had these secret meetings again and again and again. Instead of doing things in secret, why didn't they have someone out there to challenge Donald Trump and beat him in the primaries? And not having done that, what are they going to try to do? Steal the nomination that a vast majority of Republicans want awarded to Donald Trump based on competition with 16 other high-standing Republicans?
Pat, Trump's total in the primaries, 13,266,000, according to Real Clear Politics as of yesterday. That count apparently didn't even include the California totals, which are over 1 million. Now, no Republican has ever garnered that many votes. What do these never-Trumpers of the political elite class say to the millions of people? Because this has been my argument all along. You're telling voters you don't matter at all. You don't count. Your voice shouldn't be heard. What do these guys purport to say to millions of Americans who elected Donald Trump as their nominee for the Republican Party?
They're going to say, basically what they're saying is, you folks are stupid. You made a terrible mistake. We know best, and we're going to alter the decision of the electorate, and we're going to impose a candidate on you who could not beat Donald Trump in the primaries or who never even ran in the primaries. It is preposterous. I mean, I think the attempt, frankly, will make the Republican convention quite an interesting event.
We're going to be there. We'll be there on Radio Row.
I haven't, darn, I'm not going there this time, but if this is going to happen, I'd like to be there. I was in Chicago in '68.
Wow, Pat. Pat, how can you, this could make Chicago look like a walk in the park. How can you not go to Cleveland next month?
Pardon?
How can you not be there next month? Come on, we need you. I'll have you co-host my show the whole week.
I'm too old. I can't move that fast.
No, me either. We're both in trouble. I'm going to try to be on a scooter or something. My goodness. Hey, Pat, it's always great catching up with you. I appreciate it. All the best.
Well, good talking to you, my friend.
Thank